You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 25th day of June, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast, that's our live training room. So to get in there, you either have to be one of our traders or taking your 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us at the top of the hour, he'll walk you through it step by step. Do it today. We'll get your indicators up and running today. Now, I realize there's only 2 days left in this week, but don't worry. The weekend doesn't count against you, so you'll also get the first 3 days of next week. So, 5 consecutive trading days, no credit card required, and you're not just getting access to the live training room. We treat you like you were a full-fledged member, a passport holder. For 5 consecutive trading days, we give you access to everything. Because at the end of your trial, we want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. When the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join the afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click that link, fill out that 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll instantly have access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop. This time of year, you might be on vacation. But you still want to join live. And of course, there will be days when you're busy, you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. The good news is you can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that. Just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to the world of CFRN, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips. And it kind of lets you know we've been around a minute or two, or a few. youtube.com/CFRN. And while you're there, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tick that little bell. This way, anytime we go live outside of our normal schedule, which is going to be happening in the very near future, you'll be notified that we've gone live, and you can be quick to tune in. And also it helps more people find our channel and gives them an opportunity to learn, hopefully, what you're learning. Now, our schedule for the afternoon broadcast is right here. So we're going to dive into our daily devotional. Michael will join us at the top of the hour and give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, and then do some live trading on the TradingView platform. Now, we just finished up a devotional topic yesterday. Why should I trust the Bible? So today, we're beginning a new topic, which will be on for the next 10 days. Now, think about the word hustle. If you're a man or woman of a certain age, the word hustle used to have a very negative connotation. Like perhaps maybe you were a pool hustler. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, you go to some town nearby where you live and you wander into the pool hall. Yes, they used to have pool halls. And you play a couple $5 games of pool and you lose miserably. And so the local pool hustler says, I got a fish here. I'm going to see just how much money I can get out of him. He doesn't know that you're a pool hustler. So after you lose a couple of those $5 games, of course, the pool hustler is going to say, why don't we up the ante? And so once you get up to about $50 a game or $100 a game, you clean his clock, empty his pockets and everybody else in the place. And then they chase you out and you jump into your car and you're off to the next town. But in today's society, the new generation, hustle has a positive connotation. You probably know plenty of people who have a side hustle. And what that means is they have their regular job, but it's not quite enough to pay the bills. So they drive an Uber or some other side gig. It's also called gig work, so that they can pay their bills. I said all that to say this: the topic for the next 10 days is holy hustle, embracing a work hard, rest well life. Our scripture today is Colossians 3, verse 23, and I'm sharing it from the NIV translation. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. It's a powerful verse, and it will really get you through some tough days when you have a boss or supervisor who's, well, harsh. Around our house, hustle isn't a scary word. It's just what I do. When we look at the dictionary definition of hustle, all it means is to work rapidly or energetically. Obviously, that's going to remind you of the verse we just read, Colossians 3:23. When I feel guilty about working hard and attempt to follow the models of rest and soul care that seem to be popular right now, I find myself leaning too heavily into laziness. When I turn too far the other way and work non-stop, following the world's definition of hustle, I find myself striving and exhausted. Either way, I end up feeling miserable. We serve a God who created the entire earth and everything on it out of nothing in 6 days. God modeled work for us: energetic, creative, hard work followed by rest. As I've prayed about how this model fits with the concept of modern hustle, God has revealed a few things. Number one, hustle isn't bad when we work hard for what glorifies God and serves His kingdom. Number two, Scripture provides examples of the blessing of hard work. 3, we can't live 100% of our lives modeled around the first 6 days of creation and ignore day 7. Hustling doesn't mean just getting ahead, walking all over our co-workers, or shining a spotlight on ourselves. Holy hustle is about working hard the way Colossians 3:23 instructs, living fully in the lane where God has placed us, and discovering the restorative balance of work and rest. Today, I want to encourage you to take the time to pray about your current work-rest balance. Ask God to reveal any places that don't line up with His plan for your life. Areas where you're working too hard and resting too little. Or areas where you're resting too much and working too little. Spend a little time writing out your goals. Everything you would like to accomplish in the coming year. And then quietly offer those goals back to God. Cross out anything He leads you to remove and add anything new He puts on your heart. Ask God to show you how you can make His name great through your work on these projects, and ask His forgiveness for the times when greed or a quest for fame or a drive towards competition is your only motivation. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us to serve with excellence and joy. not for recognition, but as an offering to you. May everything we do today and every day, big or small, be done with all of our hearts, as if we're doing it for you alone. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray, and everybody said, amen. Amen, and happy Wednesday. Okay. Let me give you the numbers from around the world for Wednesday. We're going to start in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is down 53 points. NASDAQ is up 49. S&P 500 is up 3. And the Russell 2000 is down 16. No movers or shakers. Really quiet. When we go to the charts, you're going to see just how quiet it's been. In the commodity basket, a slightly different story with crude oil, which is up $1.22 on the session, trading 65.58 last. That's a gain of almost 2%. Gold is up $6.80, trading 33.40.30 last. Silver's up 23 cents, trading 35.97 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 151 points. Shanghai rose 35, and for the Shanghai, that's a little over 1%. The Hang Seng gained 297 points. That's 1.25%. And in the European markets, at the close, FTSE down 40, the DAX down 143, the CAC down 57. So we had a green day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it is a mixed Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Now, those of you that were in the live training room this morning, you heard Michael mention a couple times, I think, and I mentioned it, that there just doesn't seem to be much follow-through today. Well, that's what happens when you have mixed markets. You see, as futures traders, we can be long, short, long again, all in the same hour if that's what the chart in front of us tells us to do. So the four major indices, the Dow, the NQ, the S&P, the Russell, we like to see them all red or all green. When we have that, we get better follow-through on our trades. But when they're mixed as they are right now, and that could change by the time we end this broadcast today, it's sort of like a tug of war. So you just have to trade what's in front of you. Let's go to the news. NATO leaders are expected to agree to ramp up defense spending when the two-day summit concludes today. Countries may commit to spending 5% of their gross domestic product on defense by 2035, up from the current 2% target, which 22 of the 32 member countries have already met. The commitment responds to a call from President Donald Trump, who has conveyed skepticism about the military alliance's value to the United States. In fact, at one point he talked about just pulling out because the other members would not pay their fair share. The U.S. is one of NATO's biggest contributors, responsible for roughly 16% of the alliance's collective $3.5 billion budget. It is also the only country to have triggered Article 5, which assures collective defense for all member countries. Spain struck a deal with NATO to be exempted in the final communique instead of committing 2.1% of its GDP to defense. Separately, the ceasefire between Israel and Iran appeared to hold yesterday, despite some violations. An early U.S. intelligence assessment, meanwhile, reportedly found U.S. strikes set Iran's nuclear program back by months, but left its uranium stockpile and centrifuges largely intact. The White House has denied the report, and I deny the report. The left, the liberal media, the legacy media, they are so upset, aggravated, frustrated, constipated, because since taking office, President Donald Trump has done everything he said he would do. Inflation is down, gas is down, eggs are down. The economy is ready to enter the golden age if Jerome Powell would get his jackboot off our neck. I mean, our country is like George Floyd screaming, "I can't breathe." And Powell knows that once he starts lowering the rates, this economy is going to take off like a rocket ship. Two of the Fed governors have already said, hey, we should be dropping rates in July. But after testifying for 2 days in front of Congress, Powell says, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. You know, things could happen. The tariffs could cause inflation. Jerome, get some stones, brother. Risk is the doorway to opportunity. Obviously, he doesn't understand that concept. A record-breaking heat wave is scorching much of the eastern United States, with some cities seeing their hottest June temperatures in over a decade. Driven by a powerful heat dome, temperatures have soared 15 to 20 degrees above normal. New York City exceeded its record from the year 1888 yesterday of 96 degrees, and heat indexes have climbed over 100 degrees in several cities. Now, I live in Phoenix, so for it to be 110, 115, 120, that's just another summer. But it's a dry heat, as they say. Yeah, so's hell. I mean, 110 is 110. But we don't have the humidity except for about a month. Usually end of July, into the beginning of August, it gets very humid here. And so I understand what the people on the East Coast are going through. Luckily, we only have to go through it for about a month, and then the monsoons come, and that's a whole nother story. Millions of Americans remain under heat alerts as the multi-day heat wave strains power grids, sparks outages, and disrupts travel, including damaged infrastructure such as buckled roads. I saw it last night. I saw a video on the news. This car is driving down the street, and all of a sudden the street just buckles underneath him, and the car goes airborne. Luckily, that person wasn't hurt. Hot days often feel even hotter due to high humidity, trapped heat, and elevated dew points, making conditions feel like a sauna. That's how it is, right before our monsoons hit. Urban areas are especially vulnerable to the heat island effect, as asphalt and concrete trap heat overnight. Now, we experience that here in Phoenix. You see, right now, overnight temperatures are still dropping down into the 80s, and they're back over 100 by mid-afternoon. But that cooling down period overnight, it makes things not so bad. But as July comes, we're going to see a situation, as we do every year, where at 3 a.m. it'll still be 100 degrees. so the earth and the pavement never really gets a chance to cool off. That's when it starts to get a little bit miserable. Separately, Tropical Storm Andrea formed yesterday in the Atlantic, becoming the first named storm of the 2025 hurricane season. It is not expected at this point to impact any land. And last, on global news, a woman tied to the cult-like Zizian group and charged in the death of a U.S. Border Patrol agent appeared in federal court for pretrial proceedings yesterday. Authorities have also connected the radical group, composed largely of young computer scientists, to homicides in Pennsylvania and California. Remember when the young computer guys were just like nerds and they wore the pocket protector and they didn't go out much, they didn't go to the prom, they didn't go to any of the sporting events, the big football games on Friday night? I guess that's changing. Teresa Youngblood, 21 years old, allegedly shot Agent David Milland during a January traffic stop in Vermont. She and her companion, Felix Bockholt, who was killed in the shootout, had been under surveillance for suspected Zizian ties. They were traveling armed, and days earlier, another suspected Zizian had allegedly killed a California landlord. Now, let me say it again. This young woman is 21 years old. Authorities linked the gun Youngblood used to a person of interest in a 2022 Pennsylvania double homicide who was arrested in February alongside the group's assumed leader, Jack Ziz Lasota. Lasota, a 34-year-old who amassed a following through blogging, was indicted last week on weapons charges. Though their motives remain unclear, the Zizians' online writings explore anarchy, radical veganism. These people, they don't want to hurt any animals, right? So they're vegans, but they shoot people. Gender identity and AI. What's the world coming to? Okay, Wall Street news. Nvidia shares rose more than 2% in early trading today, with the stock set to notch a new high above its record closing price of $149.43 in January, a remarkable turnaround from the first half of the year. Nvidia is up almost 3% right now. The AI chipmaker stock has seen a significant upswing following its first quarter earnings in late May, which featured revenue that beat Wall Street's expectations and showed the company continuing to thrive despite a new export ban on sales of its chips to one of its largest markets, China. Well, President Trump told reporters he is actively considering replacements for Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, and that he's down to 3 or 4 candidates. The Supreme Court said this week that he can't fire him. That's a shame. Trump said, "I know within 3 or 4 people who I'm going to pick." And he added this of Powell: "He goes up pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible." Powell's term as the Fed chair expires in May of 2026. And he'll probably go down in history as one of the most disliked Fed chairs we've ever had. The comments from the president during a press conference in the Netherlands came at the same time as Powell was testifying before Senate lawmakers about 3,800 miles away in Washington. So he's now ended his second day of testimony before Congress. The Consideration of Powell's successors comes after a period of intensifying pressure from Trump to consider rate cuts, as the chairman's guarded wait-and-see monetary policy stance continues to inflame tensions with the White House. I mean, come on, man. People can't buy houses. I mean, it's really... The goal, I believe, is to drive the country into a recession so they can blame it on Trump. See, we told you he was no good. We told you he would drive up inflation. Well, May of next year can't come too soon. From Bloomberg, President Donald Trump's policies will reduce U.S. fiscal deficits by up to $11 trillion over the coming decade, according to the White House's chief economist, a projection that defies analysts who say government debt is poised to climb to record highs in coming years. Right. That's the same rationale they're using for not lowering the rates, which they should have done a year ago. You don't have to be an economist to figure that out. Biden fractured our economy so badly. Jerome thought he would be clever and raise interest rates to fix the problems Biden created, and all he did was make it worse. The Doge effect is finally here. After months of speculation, there are growing signs that the housing market in Washington, D.C. metro area is starting to shift, and federal workforce layoffs are to blame, according to new data from Bright MLS, the multiple listing service that serves the Mid-Atlantic region. For sale inventory in the region is spiking, driven in part by early retirements and general economic uncertainty. While prices are holding steady for now, some real estate agents are reporting buyer hesitancy that could translate to lower prices down the line. I'm telling you, the deal right now is in land. I found a 40-acre parcel yesterday for 39 G's. Yes, it needs to be developed, but it's by Williams, Arizona, which is right next to the Grand Canyon. And they say when you stand down this 39-acre parcel, which can be subdivided into 4 10-acre parcels, you can hear the hawks screeching as they fly over. I mean, you can't get any closer to nature than that. It's very nice there in the summertime. You get snow in the wintertime. You know, in Phoenix, we don't have much of a spring, fall, or winter. It's just mostly summer all the time. Well, about 8 months. 8 months it's miserable, and 4 months it's paradise. But up northern Arizona by the Grand Canyon, Williams, you get the beautiful 4 seasons. Also from Bloomberg, President Trump on Tuesday appeared to undermine years of U.S. sanctions on Iran, giving its biggest customer, China, the green light to carry on buying its oil as he seeks to bolster a ceasefire with Israel. The announcement on social media, which surprised both oil traders and officials in his own government, could undermine the central element of Washington's Iran policy under multiple administrations, which have sought to cut the regime's main source of revenue by making its top export off limits. Trump knows what he's doing. Just let him do it. Speaking of crude, we got our inventory numbers today. U.S. crude oil and fuel inventories fell last week as refining activity and demand rose. Crude inventories fell by 5.8 million barrels to 415.1 million barrels in the week ending June 20th, exceeding analyst expectations in a Reuters poll for a 797,000 barrel draw. Huh. Crude stocks at the Cushing, Oklahoma delivery hub fell by 464,000 barrels in that same week. We had some home sales numbers today. Sales of new U.S. single-family homes fell more than expected in May as high mortgage rates, Jerome, sapped demand, boosting the supply of unsold houses on the market. New home sale units dropped 13.7% to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 623,000 units last month. The sales pace for April was revised lower to a rate of 722,000 units from the previously reported 743,000 units. We know how to fix the problem, but Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said today that the central bank's power to pay interest on cash that banks park at the central bank is a key part of the Fed's interest rate control toolkit and would be difficult to unwind. If you were to want to go back to a scarce reserves, it would be a long and bumpy and volatile road, Powell told a Senate committee during testimony. I wouldn't recommend that we undertake that road, and if it were done, it would not save any money. No, it wouldn't, because you would just print some more. And last from Wall Street, Tesla's recent high-profile robo-taxi test in Austin, Texas, comes as more negative data emerges in its core auto business, with the company's stock dropping in the process. So Tesla was up yesterday on the robo-taxi news, and now today it's down 4.25%. Well, that's it for the global news and the Wall Street news. Now let's turn the channel to our local news. Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, silver. Over the last 360 weeks, we have now issued 19,998 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged over those 360 weeks is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our passport holders. When Valerie did the recap this morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, since the markets opened Sunday night, we'd issued a total of 22 alerts. Still waiting on the outcome of 8. That gave us 14 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 7% would have been stopped out, again based on simple market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, I've been talking for a while about hitting that 20,000 round number. That would be the total number of alerts. We're 2 alerts away from hitting that big 20,000 round number. Now, I've said some things are going to change, and I'm still waiting on some feedback from some of our longtime members. Trust me, when I rolled out Logic 247 360 weeks ago, I never thought I'd be having this conversation with you 360 weeks later and telling you that we were about to hit 20,000 individual alerts. And the reason there's only 22 alerts issued so far this week is because, well, I just been kind of trying to stretch it out. So, now, the Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, and then usually additional targets, and always a final trade to target. Of course, you can trade them. Who wouldn't? But the real purpose of the logic alerts is to teach you how to read the chart. Whatever profession you pursue in life, doctor, lawyer, whatever, you got to be able to read the textbooks, the journals, the whatever, so that you can learn how to do the job, right? Well, when it comes to trading, you got to learn to read the charts, especially if you're going to be a technical trader. Now, if you're a fundamental trader, that's maybe a different story, but we're technical traders. And when you look at a chart, there's no words, no sentences, no paragraphs, no punctuation. So you have to learn a new language. You got to be able to read it, see it, understand it, and then know what the next high probability move is based on the information you gather. And that's exactly what we do, is we teach our traders how to read a chart. If you want to learn how to trade for a living, if you don't use us to learn how to read the charts, find somebody. Otherwise, you're just going to throw away your money. And I know a lot of you have already wasted a lot of time and a lot of treasure. How many accounts have you blown up? Now, in the course of learning how to read the charts, because I couldn't find anybody willing to teach me back in the day, I blew up quite a few, to be honest. So there's no shame in that. In fact, it's what happens to basically 90% of all traders. I'm told that the number's even higher now. So you can use us or find someone else. Not somebody that's going to just say is some gimmick, some parlor trick. No. You gotta be able to read the chart. Okay? Alright. Now 360 weeks, that's a long time. But many years before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report, typically 5 minutes before the Globex Open each evening. We all know today is the Wednesday session, but the Wednesday session began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. All of our traders and all of our trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the markets opened last night. So as we go to the individual markets and look at the charts, and you see these targets on those charts, just remember, our people had them 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go where I'm most comfortable, and that's to the charts. We shall start with the bellwether, the S&P 500 daily chart. And I want you to look at today's candle. It's a doji, but I mean, my goodness. Now, this potential major resistance, which we called months ago, because when you can read a chart, you can do that, right? And then we also said that once we break through this potential major resistance, the next major resistance should come in at 61.61, which is where the bearish cross took place, right here. That's when the red line gets below the green line. A bullish cross is when the blue line gets above the green line. So the bearish cross, 61.61, this will blow your mind. Today's high, 61.60 and a quarter. 3 ticks shy of hitting that major resistance. And the market has stalled out. Now the green line, it's called the BBC. It stands for Bull Bear Cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Price always reverts to the mean, and in our case, the mean is green, and we call it the BBC. Now, what's really cool is when price pulls back to the BBC like it did there, and there, and there, and there, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. But we know eventually it will trade through, like it did on April 24th. Now we're bullish, right? And the first pullback to the BBC, it held, and it held, and it held, and it held. And now here we are. Now, once we take out this bearish cross, and I don't know if it's going to take a day. It could happen today. I'm not going to rule that out. It could take 6 months. I don't know. But once we do break it, well, then we got to deal with the resistance up here. Okay? But we'll get to that when it's time. Now, I know no one trades the daily chart, or few people anyway, but there is a select group of people who do. Institutional traders. They look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. It has everything to do with account size. You see, these institutional traders have account sizes so large that they're able to trade in such incredible size that they're the ones who actually move price. Think about that. So what I challenge you to do, if you're not already doing it, whatever you're getting ready to trade, spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you go to your smaller time frame and start trading. Number one, it gives you a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets that move price. Are they buying? Are they selling? Or are they confused? You're also able to identify months in advance where the market is likely to find resistance. Here, 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 right? And now we know that the next major resistance is here. Now if price starts to break down, we also know where support is. Okay? And these are all things we teach. You see this bullish cross here? When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. And it has been so far today. If price were to start selling off, then at the bullish cross, we would expect major support until proven otherwise. Now, because of this downtrend we've been in, these are reverse fibs. See, in an uptrend, you draw your fibs from the low to the high. In a downtrend, you draw your fibs from the high to the low. And I've said for months that once we breach this bearish cross, I'm going to switch out of the reverse fibs and go back to regular fibs, because we will definitely be in an uptrend. We're already in it. I could flip them right now, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Okay, this is the 30-minute chart of the ES. All alerts, the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, they're all created on the 30-minute chart. Now, there's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose years ago. And they say if it's not broke, leave it alone. Now, yesterday, we drew a long window of opportunity and a short window of opportunity live on the broadcast. Now, we poked into it, and that move was good for 2 points, but it didn't fill the window. But if you go measure it, I promise you, it's 2 points. See, the high of that candle is 61.55 and a quarter, and the entry was 61.53. Really 62.52, but yeah, I don't push it. But then price came back to the beat. Remember, price always reverts to the mean. The pullback holds more often than not. And so we did get a little bump this morning, and look what happened. Right up to the top of the window. Now the entire window is 52 up to 59. That's 7 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Price is now below the BBC. We've got red and falling overhead. So what do we expect to happen? I expect price to drop at least to the short target, which is where we had our most recent bullish cross. This is where we opened last night. This was the opening candle. Now keep in mind, all of our traders and all of our trial members had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. So the opening candle came right down to the BBC, the pullback held, and then we ran into red and falling, which is bearish. That sent us back to the BBC, the pullback held. Got another leg, a retracement, a leg where we hit the long target, and a retracement. And then we hit the long target, fill the window of opportunity, but now we're back below the BBC, which means we're looking for lower prices, and blue and climbing has turned to red and falling. By the time we end the broadcast today, we could be well on our way to this short target. And that is going to fill a number of logic alerts that are still waiting. On the Dow, these are the 2 windows we drew live on the broadcast yesterday. The long one filled during yesterday's session, and this was the opening candle. We were above the BBC, so we expect higher prices, but we ran into red and falling, which is bearish, so we just consolidated a little bit, and then bing, we hit the long target. Resistance will always send the market back to support at the BBC, which sent us to resistance at red and falling. And then we just did some sideways movements, and look where the Dow is now, where I suspect the ES is trying to head, and that's to the short target. Hit the long target, fill the window, hit the long target. We're about to hit the short target. Now you only need 20 points on the Dow to get your goal for the day. This candle opened at 328 and the low so far is 269. So that's like a 60-point candle. Again, you only need 20 points to get your goal for the day. The Russell. This is where we opened on the Russell. We got a leg and a retracement, the pullback held, and then we got a leg that took us right up to the long target, and then we dropped below the BBC, and we ran into support right at the low of these 2 candles. Okay, support sent us back to resistance at the long target. Resistance sent the market looking for support. So we traded all the way through the short target, all the way down to the weekly trading zone. And when we hit a weekly trading zone, when we drop to a zone, like we did yesterday, we expect it to be support. Now this window of opportunity that we drew live on yesterday's broadcast filled beautifully right here. From the top of the window to the bottom of the window. 2163 down to 2159. It's 4 points. Only takes 2 points to get your goal for the day. So we had the long target twice, short target once. Now, notice on the way down, you had price, the black step line, and red and falling. Parallel, right? But you see what's happening here? The step line is trying to cross to the right side of red and falling. If it's successful in doing that, then you should expect price to retrace back to the BBC. I believe that pullback will hold, and then we'll get another leg to the downside. Now, these weekly trading zones are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. We've published the zones for our traders since December 14th of 2009, 15 and a half years. So here it is Wednesday, and the zones are doing their job. When price rallies up, we look for resistance. When it drops to a zone, we look for support until proven otherwise. The NQ. We drew these two windows of opportunity on yesterday's broadcast. We filled that long window during yesterday's session. And then here's where we opened last night. We ran right up to the long target, pretty much to the tick. Resistance sent us to support at the BBC, which sent us back to resistance at the long target, which sent us back to support at the BBC, which sent us back to resistance at the long target, which sent us back to support at the BBC. I'm telling you, the pullback to the BBC holds more often than not. So then we caught a pretty nice rally, and this candle right here filled that window again. Okay, so now we're below the BBC. We've got red and falling overhead. We're also printing a green candle. I would let price get down into this area right here. Now, before we wrap up the broadcast today, I'm going to draw some windows of opportunity, but just in case the bottom falls out sooner than I might have thought, let me add this one. Okay. Now, that would mean selling 22,350 down to 325. It's 25 points at $20 a point, $500 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, well, that's $5 grand. But you don't start out trading real money, no. No, you got to learn the strategy first. You got to learn to read the indicators. You got to learn to read the chart. Oh my, that sounds like a lot. I don't know if I can do all that. It's rules-based trading. We've made it quite simple. You can if you apply yourself. We're going to give you all the information you need. We're going to give you the tools you need. What you have to bring to the table is patience, self-discipline, and just follow the rules. We've worked very hard for a lot of years to make it as simple as we possibly can. Crude's been pretty flat. We didn't hit the short target, we didn't hit the long target, and we didn't fill either of the windows yet. But we will. This was the opening candle last night. We were just sideways all night. We did get below the BBC, and this low right here came in right where the black line crossed red and falling at support, sent us up to resistance just shy of the target. Okay, So we're above the BBC. We got blue and climbing. Even though we're printing a red candle, I expect higher prices. We'll pick up with gold when I come back. Right now, Michael's going to give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. Then do some live trading on the TradingView platform. Yes. And when I come back, I will finish the recap we were just on. We'll draw in some nice windows of opportunity for the rest of the session, for tonight, for tomorrow. And then I'll wrap it all up with our good word for the day. So, Michael, let me get you centered here. There you go.
Excellent.
Looks good. You ready?
All right, here we go.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is I am. Can you hear me? Are you okay? My mic was not working exactly right when I first came on, so I had to get out and come back in again. Is it okay now? Testing. 1, 2. Hang on. It says my mic is working. I don't know. Can you guys not hear me? Dwayne's mic is off, so I don't know if he's responding or not. Anyway, I'm just going to jump into it because it says my mic is working, so I'm going to roll with that. Let me look at it. Yeah, okay, Dwayne's mic is off, so if he's responding to me. All right. Great, thank you. So here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 25th, 25. If you have not taken virtual lessons, go here to mytradingiq.com. There's a purple button right here. Click on that. Right, when you click on the purple button, it's going to bring you down to, well, there's no credit card required for the trial. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Your email, your phone number. Down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID, or username, or whatever it's called. Give it to us, and we'll be able to set up your indicators, get them indicating on your desktop. If you don't have one of those, you need to get one. Click on this button right here and sign up. Right, you only need the essential platform if you click on that. Oops. This one, you only need the essential when that loads up. Watch the video. All right, when it loads up, it's going to page. Going to bring you here. All right, click on this link. You click on that. Just watch the video. I watch the video and then click on the link. And the essential, it's not loading right now, but there it is. The essential. Click on monthly like that and do the essential. Now you get a 30-day trial of that. Once you do it, you get a 30-day trial. Okay, that'll give you 2 charts. If you want to do the plus, that'll give you all 4 charts that I use. But I don't recommend you do 4 charts right at the beginning. Right? Start out with 2. All right, what we did today. Now I had this at 12 for most of the morning, and so I thought I was hardly making any money at all this morning. But I really did have 124. So today we ended up having, well, not a great day, but an okay day, and there was very little follow through today. Okay, as you will see, and I didn't actually take a good look at it there, but there's probably still very little follow through. But today is the 25th day of June 2025. As I said, we're up 124 ticks on the NQ, minus 13 on the Russell, plus 1 on gold, and plus 16 on the ESF, which is at $765 a contract. Today it took 3 minutes and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. We're up $1,750. We took a total of 23 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're up $13,554 over 15 trading days, averaging $902 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year now, we're up $154,012 over 106 trading days, averaging $1,452 per contract per 2-hour trading day. So that's on the year, and this is on the month. This is our slowest month yet. We're not even over $1,000 a contract. It's our slowest month yet. I don't know that we're going to get there. We only have 3 business days left, and I don't know that we're going to get there. I have to have 3 really good business days, 3 really good mornings. But anyway, the 2420 blueprint is looking really well. We are moving up nicely because we are getting the goal for the day in a very short amount of time, most of the days, and Look at the number of ones we have so far this month. And we would have had a one. We did have one yesterday, but we would have had it. Well, I guess we had a 1 in 1 minute. I guess we couldn't do much better than that, but we did start 15 minutes late. If I would have done the gold trade that happened right at the beginning at 9:27, I would have had one with that too. But the total number of ones we have 15 days, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of 15 days we got it on the first trade. That's pretty good stuff. It's unusual, and that's what is bumping this number up so much as we get in the goal of the day so quickly every day. So far this month we've worked 24. Well, taking 24 trades. We worked just over an hour and taking 24 trades, getting goal for the day. It's pretty darn good. $22,900 in just over an hour, or $2,290 with one contract in just over an hour. Either way, it's really good. Anyway, let's get into it. Here, right, what do we have the most trades under? Spread pretty evenly, so we're just going to start out here with gold. Okay, and we don't have a ton of trades triggering today, so I'm going to kind of keep my eye on the trades that are triggering while I'm talking through this, and try to take trades while it's happening too. Okay, like here on the NQ right now, there was just a trade here on the up close. Actually, there was not. Sorry, I take that back. I take that back. That should go up to the swing high, but it was not a valid trade. I actually took it to my stop to break even. It's below the YBR. Right, I'm locking in something here. 12 ticks right now. All right, I'm out. It's below the YBR. You should be looking for a short on a long. Okay, so I just did get 12 ticks on it. We won't count that. Let's start out with the gold. All right, and this is what I meant about keeping things visible so I can see the trades trigger on these other things. Now on the gold, we started out here with a plus 14. That was a great trade right at the beginning, and then we stopped out on the very next one, and it stopped out pretty much at the tick and then went down and did what it should have done. We had a couple of trades like that today on the stop loss. We had 14 there, then we had a minus 15 that put us at -1. Then we had another minus 15 right there. Now we did actually, that was a mistake. That was a mistake because we never came out of the oversold. So it was a mistake to take that trade, and I stopped out. So that was another minus 15. We're at minus 16 at that point. Then we inched our way back. We got 5 ticks there to get us to minus 11. 5 more ticks to get us to minus 6. 5 more ticks to get us to minus 1. And 2 ticks to get us to +1. And that's where we ended on the morning session. Now, when the European markets closed, it did break out a little bit here, which was good. Hopefully we get some opportunity now that the markets are not back in here trading anyway. All right. So on the Russell, on the gold, that's what we had. On the Russell, we had Russell. Here we are. On the Russell, we had nothing there. Then we had a minus 15. And then we had a +2 to get us to minus 13, and then another break even. Not a ton of opportunity during the morning session. During the break on the Russell, there was one trade right here. Could have taken an aggressive, a conservative long trade right there. Taken that. You could have followed it up with another one right here. It did go all the way to the overbought and back all the way to the oversold. So you could have followed it up with another one right here. It's setting up a potential short trade here right now. That was not a trade in there. That was not a good trade in there. Well, you could have done it off the 100% retracement, which was right here on that if you wanted to. It's a little more risky doing it off the 100% retracement. The easy and obvious trades, especially on days with this little follow through, stick to the easy and obvious trades, because if you stop out, coming back from the stop out is a lot harder on days like today's. And that was it for us on the Russell. We ended up with minus 13 on the Russell. I'll stretch the S the other way. Okay, and on the ES today, this was our day. Our very first trade was on the ES. We had a great trade on our very first trade right here. It was a plus 14, and then we stopped out. Brought us down to plus 4. All right, and then we worked our way back from that. We went from 4 to 8, then from 8 to 12, and then from 12 to 14, somewhere in there, from 12 to 14, and then we stopped out again. This was really close to giving us a break even, but it didn't. We ended up stopping out. We went back down to 4. And then from 4, we went back to 12. And then from 12 here, we went to 16. And that's where we ended at high in the day at 16. And then the European markets closed, and there was some movement, and then got a whole bunch of chop. So that's where we are right now, at the end of the chop, possibly breaking out of the chop. I don't know for sure. Okay. All right, so now we'll get it this way. The NQ today. This is the whole NQ, right? The whole NQ. Our first trade on the NQ was right here. We picked up 18 ticks on that one. Then we had, I'm sorry, it wasn't 18. That was 48 on that one. And then we had 44 on that one. And then we had 8 on that and 12 on that. And those were coming off the same run into the overbought. One was an aggressive trade where I shorted right there and we took 8, and then I took the conservative trade right after it. We got 12 more. And over here we got 12 more here. And here's to 124. And that is where we ended it. All right. And that was it. During the break, there were a couple of decent trades in here during the break. Right here would have been a good one. Right there was nothing. Right here would have been a good one, coming off the midpoint. Conservative. Right here would have been nothing, and that's where we are now. So there were a couple of decent trades there during the break. For anybody that's popping in right now, if you've not taken a free trial, go to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required. Click on that, fill out this form. Make sure you give us a TradingView login ID, and we can get you going with everything you need to get trading in the morning. Where is your TradingView login ID? Yours is Bart. Yours is Bart _ in your last name. You have a big B, a big green B on your screen. That's what yours is. Okay. That's what it was yesterday when I looked at it. You have a big green B. Click on that B and it says logged in as. And that's what your TradingView login ID is. Okay, buddy. My friend. Oops. I'm pretty sure that's what your login ID part is right there, what I just gave you. All right, so we're coming into the overbought here. We need an up close. It's going to go flat on the top side. If we get an up close on this, it won't be at the midpoint either. So it won't really be a great trade. It'd be better if the bar after that gets a wick that its midpoint closes down. Right? Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see? So we're below the YBR on all the indices right now. All right. This is what hit it right here. This is what I wanted to see. Now, if we get a down close on this one, on the Russell, we'll take a short right there. Window, always on top. And go from the high of this bar, which is 57.7 down to 56.7. All right. If that goes up, then this will go up. downtrend. Okay, so we're looking for the down close of this bar right now to come out of the overbought off the midpoint. That should be a good trade right there. Kind of the same thing here over here on the ES right now too. 43 down to 41. So the down close of the bar is going to be right here on the ES. It'll be right here on the Russell. This one's Russell hasn't gone any higher. Okay, it's gone higher now. And the down close will be right here. Okay, the ES has gone up a little bit. Down close will be right here. All right, now the ES is actually closed up. That makes this a little uglier right now. It's still a trade. If you get a down close right here, come in and be a conservative trade, but the entry is going to be above. Oh, actually be right on it. Okay, so that'd be okay. We'll go for the ES trade right here. That's all right. This one's going to be, is it 58.2 or 58.3? Put this always on top too. Bump that over here and see where the high actually is on this. The high is at 58.2. So we're selling 57.2 there. And the high of this one is at 43.50. So we're selling 41.50 there. Those are positioned correctly. All right. The NQ's almost got the same thing going on here too. The high on that one is 46.50, so it'll be 34.50. This has to be above 34.50. It is. Okay, so that would be a trade there on the NQ too. Okay, so down close on this and that. That's triggered in here on the ES now, and if it triggers in here on the NQ, down close, that would be a trade there. And we'd have the same thing here on the Russell if it triggers in. The gold's just not giving us anything right now. But these are the way the trades are coming together right now. There are 3 of them coming together. They're not all triggered yet, but they're all there. So the high of this was 46.50, so it would be 34.50, 12 points below the high. Okay, so we're actually in the S trade. We're not in the Russell trade yet. We're in the S trade. That's the only one we're in right now. Okay, and we'll see how they all go. Did you find it, Bart? I typed it in for you because I remember what it was from yesterday. But it's big green B. If you hover over the big green B that you have, I think it's like right here on your charts. On your trading view charts. This is changing over here on the 58.3. If you get up close on this, it's going to change the way this looks on the Russell. Okay. So the ES is not giving us anything yet. The NQ, you can see I just lost my dumb. Let me bring that back up. That's not an NQ dumb. Bring the NQ down back up. Here it is. Nope, that's not an NQ down. There it is. There it is. Okay, put that on top. All right. So the number has changed here on the Russell, right? It's now got a high of 58.5. This will be okay. The S is looking like it's going to stop us out. I don't know if these others are going to come together and give us a trade or not, but it's looking like not. And I'm going to cancel the order here on this one. Slide that over, and I'm going to cancel the order on the Russell too. right? And we just stopped out on the ES trade. Okay. So the other two didn't come together, and the ES stopped us out. The ES never really gave us a chance. We never had a chance to run the stop to break even on that one. And this is how today has been. Back and forth. Little follow through. NQ ended up doing okay on the NQ overall. We had two bigger trades. We had a 48 tick trade and a 44 tick trade. Those are two big trades on the NQ. Good part. I'm going to try. It's Wednesday. All right. So, well, we're flipping the YBR here. We already flipped it there. We're flipping it here on the NQ now too. We have nothing over here on gold, and the Russell's got a ways to go to flip the YBR, but we definitely don't have a trade we want to take there on the Russell right now. All right. So what we were looking at earlier, Dwayne, I'm sure probably went over this with you, but you see this right here, that horizontal red line right there. Oops. That goes back here to this crossover right here. Now, the exact number of that crossover, Dwayne's got a little over than me, I think. But it's something like that. And we're really hoping to get up above that today. That's what we're hoping for. The all-time highs are right back here. These are your all-time highs. I can go back over. These are all-time highs right back here. Right, and that's not that far away from us. You know, the way that prices have been running, like this candle, a candle like this one right here, that has, or the one right before it, that has a low of 59 and a high of 81. That's a 122 point candle. So this one right here, which has a low right now of 38, if we had the same candle on, same 122 point candle, that would put us at 250, 6250, and that is above the all-time high, isn't it? No, the all-time high is 6285. Right in that area right there. Be very close though. Just one candle like that one right there. So we just need a reason. Need a catalyst. That's what we're looking for. All right, guys, it is 1:24. Wow, this day is flying by me too.
Have you looked at BTC lately?
I have not. I wondered about that this morning.
Just guess. Just guess.
Guess? Without
Just
looking at it on my
guess.
phone?
Without even looking, just
saying,
guess.
I was saying it's going to get up to 120.
Oh, well, we're not
108.
there. We're not there yet.
No, 108, I think is what I'm hoping for.
Well, you're so close. It's 107 and change last time I looked.
Oh, yeah, 107.552. 108 is what I would think would be
the all-time high is 112, right?
Let's go 1 year. Almost 111,999
Yeah.
is the all-time high.
Yeah. Some people I know
Okay.
are having a price watch, I think they call it today. They want to see it get to 111,000. Wait a minute. All ones.
Oh, 111,111.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's supposed to be something
That's
magical about when you look at the clock and it's 11:11, which happens
and
twice every day. Or any other time you're looking and you see 111 or especially 1111. It's like it's supposed there's websites and stuff like that's the universe speaking to you.
and,
Well,
and I worked on F-111s.
did you?
So, I
Well,
did.
one thing that I know about the human mind is once you attach some importance to 1111, that
Yeah, you'll notice it every time.
something in your brain will tell you to look at your watch or at
Hmm.
a clock when it's exactly 11:11, and you go, "Oh my God, there it is again." You know.
Yeah, for me it's 3:33. 3:33. I wake up at 3:33 often.
I learned a trick as a kid. I don't know where I read this, but I was only like 10 or 11 years old, and it said, "Get in a place where you're familiar with, where you're at a lot, and just stare at the clock, kind of meditate on it, you know." And I mean, when my grandmother was raising me as a Christian young man, I was reading Confucius and Buddha and all kinds of other stuff. Well, I can come to find out my grandmother was right. But anyway, um, and it says if you'll repeat this process a few times, then whenever you want to know what time it is, just close your eyes and picture yourself. For me, it was sitting in my grandmother's kitchen in my chair, staring at this little round clock on the wall. It was green around the edges, and it was just a little circular, very simple clock. But I still do that today. It's, like 60 years later,
Hmm.
and I'm usually deadly accurate within a minute or two. And in my mind's eye, I'm seeing the clock on Granny Reeves' kitchen wall. And yeah, it's freaky. It really is.
Me. For me, it was all through middle school. This round silver clock right
Oh,
beside
and
the
you're waiting for it
crucifix
to
above
be
the black.
three. You're waiting for it to be 3 o'clock. Yeah,
Yeah, staring at the clock. 8:15 in the morning,
yeah.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm.
But I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. And it's funny because if you ever read Lee Child and Jack Reacher books, he times
I've not ever gotten into the Reacher books.
he doesn't wear a watch, and he's got kind of like this mental clock,
Hmm.
and it's a military thing for him. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean it's kind of that way for me. The like 3:33 and 4:44, those kind of numbers like that. When that happens during the day, I often find myself looking at my watch at exactly those kind of times, like
Mm.
3:33, 4:44, 2:22, 5:55,
Interesting.
1:11. Um, we don't have any trades right now. We have a minute now.
If
We
you
don't have any trades.
if you want to jump, that's fine.
Okay, well, I'm only cutting off a minute. So the gold is actually flipping the YBR right here. So there might be something coming up on gold. Now, without having that on there, I'm looking at the gold. You would go from the top down, right? You draw your line from the top down like this. Okay, like this. That's where your midpoint would go. Right? Now putting that on, that's where your midpoint would go. You put that on, and now it's going down a little lower. So that's where your midpoint would go, right in there. All right. Now, when it flips the YBR like that, you got to go from the last time it came out of the overbought. Right, the last time it came out of the overbought, which is right over here. Down. When you're below the YBR, you're going from the top down. When you're above the YBR, you're going from the bottom up. And when it flips the YBR, you go from the last time. So it's over here. It's not on this side of the YBR. It's on this side of the YBR. So I want to point that out. So some people, if you don't have this tool down here, you're still drawing them manually. It's important that you understand where to draw from all the time. Okay. There it is. I ran that last minute right out, didn't I?
You did good.
All right. So if you have not taken a free trial, let's go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. Click that. Go to the registration page. On the registration page, fill it out. Down at the bottom, give us a TradingView login ID if you want to use the indicators during your trial. Right? Highly recommend you do that. And that is it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Okay? If you are ready.
You know, New York City had their mayoral primaries yesterday. And I don't know that the final tally's in, but I'm pretty sure the Democratic Communist candidate won the primary.
Of course.
However, when the general election comes along, he's going to be up against some pretty tough Republican competition. So, I mean, if this, after all New York's been through, if they elect a communist mayor, then all I can say is they deserve what they get.
Yeah.
And going there to skate on Christmas Eve with the snow falling at Rockefeller Square, I'm just going to take that off my bucket list.
Yeah. Going anywhere in New York at midnight, in the eve at all, is off my bucket list.
Yeah.
You know, to fly over.
Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 3 minutes and one trade to get to $1,750 with 10 contracts.
Sweet. All right, guys, we're going to pick up where we left off, and then we're going to draw in some windows of opportunity, as we have been prone to do here of late, because folks seem to kind of like it. So let's finish up with the recap first. Okay. Gold. Now, these are the windows we drew yesterday. And it wasn't until last night on this candle here, the 8 p.m. Eastern candle, bang, we fill that window. That's $200 per contract traded. All you had to do is wait for price to get there. So then we hit the weekly zone at 33.44/45, and we got above it a bit, and we ran into some resistance. And honestly, based on market structure, it's not a place I would have looked for resistance. So, I mean, that's why out of the almost 20,000 alerts, we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts getting stopped out. In other words, what I'm trying to say here is you learn how to read the chart and you know what the next high probability move should be. However, sometimes, due to things beyond any of our control, it just doesn't do it, and that's okay. I mean, I remember in the beginning, man, when I got stopped out, it was like the end of the world. I'd kicked myself for 2 weeks before I put on another trade. I mean, it was ridiculous. But anyway, so price pulls back to the BBC, the pullback holds. Then we put in this high, okay, which took out this high by just a little bit, but not enough to take out this high. That's a sign of weakness. So price gets below the BBC and the pullback holds. And then we get a leg down to here. Now this one makes sense. If you look at this little shelf right here from yesterday. Now obviously my short target was down here where red turned to blue. But this little shelf, that makes perfect sense from a market structure perspective. Support sends a market looking for resistance. Now that is right where these are. And remember, this was just a spike. We had a green candle that ran up, but that closed red right at the zone. These are the zones that were published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. So we hit that resistance, okay? Now what's about to happen? We've got blue and climbing, so I would expect gold to move higher. just based off the fact that we got blue and climbing and we've pulled back to the BBC. So we'll see what happens. Okay. If price drops, I'll show you a window, and if price trades through, I'll show you a window. But let's cover the last market, silver. Here's where we opened last night, and we filled the window of opportunity that we drew live on the broadcast yesterday. Okay. So we hit the long target. That sends us back to the BBC. The pullback holds. And then we trade through the long target. And where do we find resistance? At the previous bearish cross. That's when the red line gets below the green line. When you have a bearish cross, it leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. And it was. Sent us all the way down to the short target and the weekly zone that was published Monday morning. Support will then send the market looking for resistance. We get through the BBC, we get through the long target, we actually get through the zone. Okay, now first time up, the bearish cross was resistance, but the second time we got through it, and now these highs are basically these highs from yesterday. That's market structure. Now we're starting to print a red candle, and the black step line is directly above blue and climbing. So on this nice move up, you see how it was parallel, the step line, blue and climbing, and then as we get up to this point of consolidation, you see how that gap narrows closer and closer. If this step line crosses over to the right side of blue and climbing, then we expect a retracement back to the BBC. If price were to trade through the BBC, you've got potential support right here at the bullish cross. If the pullback holds, then you're going to have some resistance immediately overhead. The step line, blue and climbing, etc. Okay. So hit the long target, hit the short target, hit the long target, and you only need 2 pennies in silver to get your goal for the day. So, I mean, just this one candle right here opened at 35.95 and ran up to, well, it ran up a dime to the zone. That's $500 per contract traded, just from the open of this candle to the zone. Well, why would I take that trade? Well, I'll tell you why. You're above the BBC. You've overcome the long target. And price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If price is above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. If price is below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Treat every market exactly the same. Okay, so yesterday's window of opportunity got filled, but not on the short side. So is that still valid? Yes, it is. Well, I've got the price label there, so I'm not going to worry about messing it up too much. It's 61.14 to 61.10. That's if price gets down there. But for now, price is below the BBC. We got red and falling overhead. So I'm going to come right here. And that's it. So, selling 61.31 down to 61.28. So that's 3 points. Only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. That is and then if price continues down, remember price is always trying to get to a zone, so if it continues down, this zone from yesterday is still valid. But it's 61.14 to 61.10. 61.14 to 61.10. Okay, it's 4 points. It takes 2 points to get your goal for the day. So we fill that window from yesterday. We haven't filled this window from yesterday. Let's go to the Dow. Okay, this window is still valid. And here she comes. And if the market were to turn around and run the other way, now the long window we drew yesterday, that filled during yesterday's session. I remember all of our traders and all of our trial members had all these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. And we got this one little spot right here where red turned to blue. Notice that's where that wick is right now. Okay, so we got to break below that to attempt to fill this window. What do we got here? 43,150 down to 43,110. That's 40 points. You only need 20 points to get your goal for the day. Okay, the Russell. That window from yesterday never got filled, but this window did get filled quite nicely. So now, let me tighten this up. Those were long windows that filled back on from Monday. Where do I want to go with my short window? Come down a little bit. Yeah. So 2152 down to 2150. It's 2 points goal for the day. And that could happen here pretty quick. Now, for some reason, the markets were to turn around and start rallying. You got a bearish cross right there, which is potential resistance. So we would put our long target above that. But we want to make sure we have at least 2 points. So getting long at 77 up to 79, that's 2 points. I mean, if the price were to go that way, and I don't think it's going to, but you never know. You got to embrace all possibilities. That's why I always give you a long and a short window when I take the time to draw the windows, and that's what I've done today. I've taken the time. Then if price were to really start falling, like some kind of massive mad sell-off, that would be a great window. Now remember, this is Wednesday today, this is Tuesday, this is Monday. The vertical lines separate the days, and these are the weekly trading zones. And remember, when price encounters a weekly zone, 70% of the time you're going to get this, consolidation. 20% of the time you'll get rejection, 10% of the time the slice. NQ. NQ. I think I drew this in earlier, and I'm going to let that stand. And I don't foresee it happening, but if for some reason the market did a turnaround, right there. That would be 470 up to 486. That would be 16 points, $20 a point, $320 per contract traded. Crude oil. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to stay with this short target here because I don't like. This is all too tight. You know, don't try to see something that's not there. Look for what's obvious. Okay. All right. And then if price were to start running to the upside, then I would say you got to stay with this one. Which goes all the way back to, there's Wednesday, there's Tuesday. Yeah. See that? People always ask me, how far left do I have to look? As far as you need to. Simple answer. Gold. You have to enter here at 55. So 55 to 57. That's too close. I'm just going to write it in. 33.55 to 33.57. Okay. So that's 2 points, $200 per contract traded. We're above the BBC. We do have blue and climbing, so it's certainly not out of the question. And then if price trades through there, then there's another, you see right there where that cross is? That's potential resistance. In fact, that area is what the long target's based off of. But you could grab a little more up here, but let's not get greedy. So we got a short and we got a long. Okay. See if I can drag that over. Yeah, that'll work. So that would be like 33.17 down to 33.15. To 33.15. So guys, market structure has nothing to do with voodoo or crystal balls or any of that. It's just being able to read the chart. That's all. Alright, what do we got left? Silver. The silver looks like it wants to rally, but you see how the step line's starting to hook over? I think when we hit this resistance up here that was created yesterday, and you see this high right here lines right up with where the step line across the BBC. Important price, important area. Doesn't mean we can't find a window, because we can. So we're talking 36.17 to 36.20. That's 3 pennies. That's $150 per contract traded. 2 pennies, $100. And on the short side, you got a bullish cross there. So if price were to come down, that's potential support. Okay. 35.77 down to 35.75. And this down here is still valid. All right. That's going to do it for today. And we still got that little tiny doji hanging out. Remember, 61.61, we've been talking about it for months. We came within 3 ticks today. High of the day so far. Now that's subject to change because the day's not over. We came within 3 ticks. So, will that be enough to turn the market down? I don't know, but we'll find out. Trade what's in front of you. Oh, you know what? I need to save that right now, lest I forget. Workspaces, save as 06 25 25B, because I've already saved it once today with that date. All right then. You probably want to become a member at this point, so go to mytradingiq.com, watch the videos, consume the content, and when you're ready, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Just say, I want to become a member. If you're a veteran, say, I am a veteran and I want to become a member. This way Valerie knows to cut you a little discount, because she's going to send you an email. Once you email her, she's going to email you a info packet that explains exactly what it means to become a member, to become a passport holder. And there'll be a link to click. And don't lie about being a veteran. Like, bad things might happen. I don't know. So just, if it's worth it, it's worth it. If it's not, it's not. Okay. 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. Michael's putting on, taking off trades, live in real time, real trades, real money, explaining every move he makes, every trade he takes, while you trade along in your demo account as you learn the strategy and asking every question that pops into your head. And a couple weeks, you'll get to the point where you'll realize you just asked the question for the second or third or fourth time. And that's okay, because every time you ask it, you're going to get the exact same answer. When that starts happening, you'll know that you're getting close, right? Now, the 24/20 blueprint is going to instruct you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row in your demo account where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you go live. To do anything else would just be financial suicide, okay? I know it's tempting, but think about how you felt every time you blew up an account. Do you want to feel that way again? We're going to do everything in our power to help you not feel that way again. We're going to give you the info, we're going to give you the tools, but at the end of the day, you got to bring discipline and self-control to the table. Just because it looks like a trade setting up doesn't mean a trade has set up. You gotta wait. Now, when the trade does set up, you don't want to jump the gun and you don't want to drag your feet. You want to be ready to take action. 2 hours live training every trading day. The reason so many traders fail is because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. So we've plugged that hole in the financial services industry. Along with 2 hours of group training every day, private mentoring at your request, strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. How's that possible? It's just how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you'll get the weekly trading zones. And every Thursday afternoon, you'll get an invitation to attend the members-only workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And last but not least, you get the golden key that opens all the private channels in Telegram. Now, when you're on the trial, you have the ability to talk to our traders. Ask them what their journey's been like. How many accounts did they blow up? And why is what we do and what they've learned here different from all the other experiences they had where they never learned how to trade and just lost a bunch of money? We have no fear of you talking to our traders because they're pretty happy campers. See, all these other, are so many of these places. Over time, it will convince you, man, this thing's rigged. There's no way to be consistently profitable, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. So when you're on the trial, make sure you install Telegram. It's free, it's fast, it's secure. And Valerie will send you the links, and then you can ask all the questions you want. And you don't have to get the answer from me or Michael or Valerie. Our traders will jump in and answer questions. Because they understand a very important concept. To whom much is given, much is required. No better example of that than Stefan. And we have a lot of other traders too that share their thoughts, their ideas, their charts. But Stefan, he's the poster child for that scripture. To whom much is given, much is required. Okay? It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof. One low price. And I'm telling you, it is low. There's a company out there that sells some fib software for 20 grand. My goodness. If you can't draw fibs yourself, then you need to ask us and we'll teach you. You don't need $20,000 software to do. But yet people buy it every day. They've been in business quite a while. What happens is people buy it, they realize it doesn't make them any better of a trader, and they're too embarrassed to say anything about it. They ask for a refund and they're told to go pound sand. It's a shame. All right, yesterday, our good word for the day was learning to resolve conflict quickly. Well, today is part 2. Hebrews 12:14. Pursue peace with all people. Man, I should have a t-shirt made with that scripture and send it to President Trump. In order to resolve conflict, do these. Number 1, focus on the person's behavior and stay away from remarks about their character. Saying, it was unacceptable for you to open my letter is better than, I can't believe you were so nosy. Number 2, try to understand the other person's behavior instead of justifying your own. Ooh, that's hard. Now, let me talk to the men here. Your wife aggravates you sometimes, doesn't she? And I'll talk to the ladies too. Sometimes your husband aggravates you, right? And you're like, well, duh, that's just marriage. Okay. So when your wife aggravates you, do you pray that God will change her or that he will change you? Well, she's the one screwing things up. Of course, I'm praying for God to change her. Man, you need to start with John, the book of John, right? Read it, reread it. No. Pray for God to change you. And what will end up happening is it will look like she changed, but she's still the same. Because of your prayer, God changed you. It's supernatural. Try it. So, again, number 2, try to understand the other person's behavior instead of justifying your own. This will require active listening. How many times does your spouse speak to you and you're just like zoned out, watching the TV, whatever, and then all of a sudden you realize that he or she is talking to you, and then they go, so what do you think? Man, you're caught flat-footed. You don't know what to say because you have no idea what they were actually talking about because you didn't even realize they were talking to you. Active listening. Listening validates the other person's feelings and provides them with the motivation to listen to you. We read in Isaiah 50 verses 4 and 5. The Lord God has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him who is weary. He awakens me morning by morning. He awakens my ear to hear as the learned. The Lord God has opened my ear. Number 3, resolve one problem at a time. Don't muddy the conversation with unrelated matters between you and your spouse or your coworker or your boss or whoever. One problem at a time. Number 4, agree on future behavior in case the situation occurs again. Agree. Like, how many times have you gotten into an argument or a fight with your spouse, and pretty soon there's name calling and there's this and there's that, and hopefully you're not throwing pots and pans, but you can't even remember what started the whole thing? That ever happened to you? Well, I'm going to tell you, it happens to me and my wife from time to time. We have a safe word. I'm not going to tell you because then it wouldn't be a safe word. But when we realize that what began as a conversation is now spiraled into potentially one of us ending up on Dateline or 2020, one of us will say the safe word. And then the other one will just usually start laughing. Now, if we've really wounded the other person with our words, it's going to be hard for them to laugh. But it snaps you out of it. Agree on future behavior in case the situation occurs again. Strife is stressful, and it's to your benefit to restrict it. You cannot remove conflicts entirely because everyone's unique, with different upbringings, ways of communicating, and desires. Do you even know what your wife's love language is? Does she know what yours is? Do you even know what that is, the whole concept? Google it. Research it. It's actually pretty powerful. and it's beyond the scope of what I can cover in today's broadcast. So, everybody's different. You were raised different. You communicate different. You have different desires. But you can face the problem, whatever it is, resolve it, and mature as a result. Psalm 133, verses 1 through 3. How wonderful and pleasant it is when brothers live together in harmony. For harmony is as precious as the anointing oil that was poured over Aaron's head, that ran down his beard and onto the border of his robe. Harmony is as refreshing as the dew from Mount Hermon that falls on the mountains of Zion. And there the Lord has pronounced his blessing, even life everlasting. If you want to have peace and walk in God's blessing, work for reconciliation. It's not going to just show up and knock on your door and say, "Hi, I'm reconciliation. I'm here to, fix things." No. You got to work at it. Work for it. You ready? Let's go. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.